Mark is working out of Clive's mansion. And at the time, Clive was out of the country. And so Mark was in charge of these workers who came into the house, and they were like sanding down this giant table. So, um, like Clive had this really giant room, like a massive, massive room with a massive table. And so there's workers sanding it down. And so the entire room was filled with all of this sawdust, right? And so they were done. And so Mark went in to like check on the work and he was like, all right, cool. And then they left. And then he notices that like okay. So this room is so big that there needs to be multiple lights, right? Multiple lamps across the room. And they're the touch lamp kind. So you have to touch it with two fingers and then
Mhm.
it turns on and off. So he's alone in the room and he's looking at the table and then one of the lights further down in the room turns on. And he goes, "Okay, it's an old house. It's, there's like weird wiring. I'll just go walk over and turn it off." So he walks over, and when he goes to turn it off, he sees two fingerprint depressions like in the sawdust.
Oh my
And he
gosh.
like looks around and there's no footprints nearby. And so when he told me that, I was like, "Well, who pressed the lamp?" And he was like, "Let me tell you part 2 of the story."
Oh.
So in this mansion, Clive has this man who is the groundskeeper. It's a really tall man. He's bald, very pale skin. I don't remember his name, but so he would see him wandering the mansion all the time. He was just taking care of like things. And then at this time, Mark, oh man, this is gonna be so confusing. How do I wait? Okay. So it's been a while. So Mark, for whatever reason, was not at the mansion this night. He doesn't stay. Okay, that's what it was. He wasn't staying overnight, but his friend was going to stay at the mansion because he just got hired to work at the mansion. So his friend goes to the mansion late at night. He's there by himself, except for the groundskeeper. He goes into one of the rooms and he's, getting ready for bed, turns off all the lights. And then the the way that the house is, he said that there's a very specific set of sounds that happens when somebody enters the mansion and enters this room that he's in. You hear like a big oak door creak, you hear this like bing bong, and then you hear the footsteps towards the door, right? So this guy, Mark's friend, is in one of the rooms of the mansion. He hears the door open, he hears a bing bong, and he hears the footsteps go to the door.
Ugh.
So he's like, "Oh, like maybe it's Mark. Like who's here?" So, he sits up, he looks, towards the door to see who's coming in, right? And the lights are off. There's only moonlight coming through the window. And he sees the silhouette of what looks like the groundskeeper. He sees like the bald head and the tall figure. And he goes, "Oh, hey, like, how's it going? Do you need something?" Guy doesn't respond. And so he like reaches over, turns on the light, and standing there is not the groundskeeper,
Ah.
but a figure whose head, all of the features were like little bugs. Like his eyes, his nose, his mouth had little legs and they were crawling all
Oh my
over
god.
his head.
No.
And he was like,
Oh.
"What the hell?" And then he disappeared. So he's like, "What the hell happened?" And so that's when he pulls out his phone and he texts Mark. And that's the reason why Mark knows how all of this happened. He was texting him exactly what happened. He's like, "I don't understand. I saw this guy, like his features were crawling on his face. Like, I don't understand." And he's describing this, and Mark realizes, he goes, "Okay, that room that you're in, do you see this pile of paintings in the corner of the room?" And he looks over and there's a bunch of like, stacked, wrapped paintings because Clive had just done like an art show. And he was like, "Yeah, I see them." So he was like, "Why don't you go over and open one of them, open
So
like
were
the top
these
one."
these were like wrapped in like opaque material. Like he couldn't like
He couldn't see. Yeah, it was.
Okay.
They were all wrapped.
Oof.
And so
Oh my
he
gosh. I'm
walks
scared about
over.
what comes next.
He walks over to the paintings. He pulls one out, opens it, and it's a painting of the guy.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say
Stop.
that. No.
Like what? And
Oh no.
And so, like, when Clive got back from the art show that he did, they told him what happened. And Clive was like, oh, yeah, that's a man that I see around my mansion all the time.
No.
Fuck that.
And
Oh.
Yo, I just like
he told me to paint him.
Oh.
Yo, I just got so scared that I like turned around to make sure I couldn't see anything, and I saw my hair and thought it was bugs.
Oh no.
So that's where I'm at mentally right now.
Yeah.
And I am not Googling that picture.
Oh, I can't wait. That's gonna be the first
No,
thing I do.
I
once
could
it's done.
not.
You need to.